Welcome to Beyond the Badge. Beyond the Badge is an inside look at your Oshkosh Police Department, brought to you through the resources of Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Beyond the Badge. I'm Joe Nichols. On today's show, we're going to have Officer Mike Kirby talk to us about bicycle safety. And later in the show, Captain Kelly Kent will be talking with us about this month's installment of the Command Post. We welcome all of you watching us on City Cable 10 and those of you listening to us on 101.9 WOCT. Mike, thank you very much for coming back on today's show.
Joe, I'm happy
and talking to us about bike safety.
Okay.
So, Mike, I know that you're one of our bicycle officers for the police department. And if you could just tell some of our viewers and listeners what you do prior to getting on your bicycle to make sure it's safe.
Okay, one of the first things that we do when we get our bicycle, we do the ABC check. The A, we talk about the air. It's the air pressure in the tires. We want to make sure that the tires are nice and inflated. Sometimes people press down on them to make sure that they're not too soft. But if you want to know what your proper inflation pressure is supposed to be, look on the side wall of your tire. It'll tell you where it's supposed to be. I looked at this tire, and this tire is rated between 35 and 65 PSI. For the kind of bike riding that we do in the city of Oshkosh, on the pavement, the blacktop, and the concrete, we'd want a little harder, closer to the 65 than the 35. So you get your pressure gauge and get your tires pumped up. So the tires here are harder for the city biking that we're going to do. The B is for the brakes. We want to look at our brake system. You've got to check the cables, make sure the cables aren't worn or frayed, make sure they're not loose. When you look at the brakes, we've got our brake pads in the front and the brake pads in the back. And we need to make sure that they are in good working condition, that they're not loose, wobbly, or worn down. In order to test the brakes, what I usually do is I take my left one first, apply it, and then push. The left one is for the front wheel, and when you push it, it'll actually bring the back of the bike up. That's how you know that you've got it good. The right brake is going to be for the back brake. You squeeze the right brake handle, and this time if you watch, I'm actually skidding the bike along. The wheel is not turning, but the back wheel is locked in place. Do them both together, the bike's not going to move. That's how you know you have your brakes properly checked. When we do the C is going to be for the chain. You need to look at your chain, make sure that it's properly lubricated. If it's not lubricated, if it's too dry, it's going to be harder to pedal. So what you want to do is you want to get a non-grease lubricant for this chain. In the old days, we had like greasy lubricants, but you want to try to get non-grease this time. I believe you would see people when they would ride their bicycles in long pants, if you had a greasy lubricant on the chain, you'd actually end up with the grease marks on your long pants. So try to get a non-grease lubricant. It'll be easier to pedal. You check the chain and the gears, make sure there's no missing teeth on the gears. Make sure the gears are not bent. If you have missing teeth or if the gears are bent, it's going to be harder to pedal and it's going to be harder to shift gears and remain shifted. So you need to get those things looked at, make sure they're fixed before you go out. The other thing with the chain, make sure it's not too loose. I've seen many kids riding their bikes that go a short distance and then the chain falls off. It's because the chain's too loose. The chain might have to be replaced. The ABCs, when you get done with that, you check your seat height, make sure it's the proper height for you. Bike light. If you're going to ride your bicycle at night, you need to have a bike light. It's part of the city ordinance. People can see you when you have this light on. Make sure you have your reflectors. Make sure they're not loose. We've got reflectors. We have them in the pedals also, if you can see that, so that people can see you at night. You need reflectors and you need the light for safety.
Okay, very good, Mike. Great information. in regards to how to check your bike, especially for kids, because a lot of kids out there just ride their bikes, you know, without checking any of the things that Officer Kirby has just told us about. And so, Mike, you're ready now? Now we can just get on the bike and we can just go. Is that correct?
Well, again, when we're out on bike patrol, I mean, you might like this hat. It looks like a sharp, baseball hat comes off. That's the way that goes. Baseball hat comes off and the bike helmet comes on. We always wear our bike helmets when we're riding. And I want to talk to parents, especially about how to fit the bike helmet better for your child. One of the first things you do when you get the bike helmet, if you can see this, get in there, untangle the straps, which is what I'm doing now. Untangle it. If the straps are tangled and they put their bike helmet on and they're tangled, it's going to hurt the side of their face and they're not going to wear their helmet. So you need to untangle it, make sure they're flat. That's what I do. Then I take it like that. I put it on with the straps untangled. Toward the back of the helmet right here is an adjusting dial. Now, when I brought my helmet out today, it was too tight because I've had it in my bike locker and we've had some training and other people that were training borrowed the helmet and they tightened it up for their heads. So then I had to untighten it to make sure that it fits mine. So use the adjusting knob at the back to get it to the right tightness for the head. When I put the straps on the side, you see now they're nice and flat, not twisted. If you twist them, like I said, the kids won't want to wear them because it's annoying, it's awkward, and it hurts a little. So make sure they're nice and flat. The back one comes around the ear, the front one in front of the ear like this. It makes a V around the ear. Sometimes kids have them both in the front like that or both in the back. That's improper. It's supposed to be on each side of the ear like that. And as you can see, it'll be on both sides. The bike helmet, it has to fit down here on the eyebrows. Okay, some people say do like a saluting position, and that's where it has to be. I just tell people right down on the eyebrows. Adjust the chin strap so it's snug but not too tight. You can open your mouth and it's still comfortable. If it's too tight, kids are not going to want to wear it. If it's too loose, it's not going to secure the helmet. So again, whoever borrowed my helmet last for training, I had to adjusted it to fit their heads. I had to readjust it to fit mine now. Mistakes that I see, the worst mistake that I've seen the kids make is they take their helmet, and I can't do it. Again, parents got to make sure it stays on the eyebrows. If the helmet is back, it's not going to protect their head. Now my helmet's on nice and snug, it's not going to go back. But a helmet does not fit right if you'll see kids riding and it's back like that. I see that a lot. I can't do that with my helmet when it's on properly, but if you see this, this is improper because it's not protecting the kid's forehead. This is like what's going to get hit in an accident. If they crash on the street, or if they hit a tree, or if there's a parked car, this is where they're going to get crushed, right here. That's why the helmet has to be down on the eyebrows, protecting the front of their head. You only have one head, okay, and you need to take care of that.
Very good.
We've had officers wearing their bike helmets that have been involved in crashes. They wear their helmets and they've been okay. One officer I know, wasn't even a crash with a vehicle. It was a road hazard. He was riding on Jackson Street and cars were kind of by him, so he was kind of close to the curb. And what's alongside the curb on the street? But like the sewer grate. And he hit the sewer grate with the front wheel. It caught his wheel, jacked him. He went down. He came right down on his helmet. His helmet was trashed. It was cracked. His helmet was garbage, but he was okay. It's a lot better to crack the helmet than it is to crack your skull. And again, parents, that's a safety tip for your kids. They've got that one skull.
Great information, Mike. Great information. Make sure your kids, you're wearing your bike helmets at all times. Now, Mike, let's talk about the kids and when they're riding the bicycles. Okay, you know, some of them just get right on the bike and they start riding. In fact, they just take off right down the driveway and into the roadway. Is that safe?
No, it's not. What we do, guys, when we do our bicycle safety presentations, one of the biggest things we have to do with kids is to teach them how to enter traffic. When they're at the end of the driveway and they want to hit the road, or even if they're in a legal crosswalk, we have to protect them and teach them how to get across safely. Okay, when I was a kid, I was told to look left and right. Look left and right before crossing a street. But now we talk about it, you know, as years go by. Kids, when you enter the street, whether you're walking or on a bike, you need to look left, then right, then you look left again. So you get on your bike, you're coming down to the edge of the sidewalk. Again, whether this is at a corner and a crosswalk, or whether it's at a driveway. You get down there, you have to look left, see if anyone's coming. No one's coming, then you look right, see if anyone's coming. And then before you go out, you need to look left again, because in the amount of time you looked right, somebody could have come around the corner and come left. So I need the kids, everyone, to look left, then right, then left again before entering the street.
Very good. Okay, now let's talk about motor vehicles out on the roadway, Mike. You got motor vehicles out there, and summertime is here now, and you're going to have more kids on the bikes. What should motorists be looking for when they're out on the street?
Okay, you know, a bicycle is a vehicle, and they're supposed to follow the vehicle laws of the state of Wisconsin and ordinances from the city of Oshkosh. So this is a vehicle. It's supposed to be treated like a vehicle. You're supposed to ride on the right side of the road. Some bicyclists feel like they can ride anywhere they want, and like they can ride on the wrong side of the road, going into oncoming traffic, and that's a mistake. I'll give you just one instance right here. A car comes up to a red light, and they want to make a right turn on red. So they don't look to the right because nobody's coming from their right. They want to make a right turn on red, so they look to the left. Nobody's coming, so they're like a normal motorist, turns right because nobody's coming, because they have to yield to traffic, and they do. They yield to traffic, and they turn, and they hit a bicycle coming right at them. The bicyclist's fault. The bicyclist isn't supposed to be there. He's going the wrong way in that lane. And the motorist feels bad because he just hit someone on a bike. It says in the paper, motorist hits bicyclist, but really the bicyclist was wrong. You know, and it's tough for a motorist because they're not expecting to turn right and have a bicyclist coming at them.
Very good.
You know, another thing we have, like a bicyclist. Pretend I'm the bicyclist. I'm going straight down the road, and right in front is a parked car, legally parked car. So I get to the parked car, and what do I want to do? I want to go around it. Before they do that, the kids on the bikes, they need to look over the shoulder to see if a car is coming. Because I've had it before, the kids on the bike go, and they just turn to go around the parked car, and they get hit from behind. They need to watch from behind to see if anything's coming before they swerve to go around the parked car.
All right, great information, Mike. And if somebody had other questions in regards to bicycle safety, who could they contact?
They can contact the Oshkosh Police Department at 236-5700, or go on the website for Wisconsin DOT and look up bike safety. Lots more.
Excellent. Well, Mike, thank you very much for being on today's show.
Thank you, Joe.
And we'll be right back with Captain Kent and the installment of the Command Post.
Hello, I'm City Manager Mark Roloff. Roundabouts are new to many of us in Oshkosh, so we have to take extra precaution when using them. Remember, safety is the key. Slow down. The speed limit in the roundabout is only 15 miles an hour. Avoid distractions. Focus all your attention on navigating the roundabout. Find the proper lane. Check out the signage leading up to the roundabout. Choose your lane assignment early and stay in your lane. Evaluate the situation. Take notice of what kind of vehicles are in front of you. Sometimes larger trucks need to take up both lanes of a roundabout. Think to look for pedestrians and allow them to cross when entering and exiting a roundabout. Yield to traffic on your left. You must yield to all traffic in the roundabout, and that traffic will be coming from your left. Again, safety is the key. Remember that word and what those letters represent, and your roundabout driving experience will be a smooth one. Thanks for your support.
Hi, and welcome back to Beyond the Badge. I'm Joe Nichols. We're now going to send it over to Captain Kent in this installment of the Command Post.
Thanks, Joe. The last time I was on the program, I was the captain of the Investigative Services Bureau. I've since traded places with Captain Cindy Thaldorf. She's now the Investigative Services Captain, and I am captain of the Administrative Services Bureau. In Administrative Services, we're responsible for the Professional Standards Division and the Records Division. One of the more important parts of my job, I feel, is recruiting and selecting new employees for the Oshkosh Police Department. So I'd like to take a few minutes and talk today about employment opportunities at the Oshkosh Police Department. Maybe you or someone you know has considered a career in policing. The Oshkosh Police Department has 99 sworn police officers. Currently we have one vacancy, with a second vacancy expected in the coming weeks, and possibly other vacancies later in the year. Our hiring process is extensive. However, we feel it's important to have a rigorous hiring process because the job of a police officer carries great responsibility, and we want to take every effort to make sure we're hiring the best people. We're also very committed to the idea of having a police force that reflects the community we serve. And on that point, we always encourage female and minority candidates to apply. So if you or anyone you know is interested in policing, the steps in the process are numerous, and I want to take a minute and just maybe lay out step by step what that process involves. The first step would be to go to our website and fill out an online application. And to do that, simply go to www.oshkoshpd.com. Under the tab titled Bureaus, click on Administrative Services, then Employment, and then there's a link for Employment Opportunities. There will be a box, check boxes below that. Select the checkbox for Public Safety and click Go, and it will bring up any law enforcement jobs that are currently available. If there's a job that interests you that's not currently available, you can fill out a job interest card on the left side of the screen. That will trigger you to receive an email when the application you're interested in does become available. So the first step in the process to be hired as a police officer is to fill out the online application. Simply follow the prompts and complete all of the information that's asked of you. That'll put your name in the queue to be notified by email the next time our written test is offered. The written test is really our first step in the process. We offer that test between 2 and 4 times a year, depending on our hiring needs. Our next written test is expected to be offered sometime this summer. So that test is usually held at UW Oshkosh in Sage Hall, one of the lecture hall rooms. We've also tested at some of the area high schools over the years and some other different locations depending on availability. But the test is a general police officer entry-level exam. It's a written exam that includes just some generalized knowledge type questions about English, grammar, punctuation, mathematics, reading comprehension, and that sort of thing. You don't need to have any specialized law enforcement experience to pass the written test. It's more a generalized type test at the early stage. So what we normally do is take the top scores from the written test, and we'll invite those people to attend what we call an assessment center. The assessment center is a series of 6 classroom type exercises where we simulate different situations, and we like to watch our candidates and see how they respond to those different situations. And again, you don't have to have any specialized law enforcement knowledge necessarily to do well at the assessment center. It's more a case of us assessing a person's potential to be trained as a police officer. So we're looking at things like communication, decision making, maturity and judgment, and so forth. So to pass the assessment center, a person would need a minimum score of 75% or higher. Anybody that passes the assessment center is invited to the next step in our hiring process, which is the interviews. There's actually 2 interviews that take place the same day. First is a panel interview with our patrol supervisors, followed by a one-on-one interview with the chief of police. Both of those are scored interviews as well, and candidates who receive a passing score of 75% or better are then invited to the next step in the process. I should add that usually administered the same day as the interviews, we do also have our physical agility test. The physical agility test is follows the Cooper Institute fitness standards. It's generally push-ups, sit-ups, running, sit and reach flexibility test, body fat composition measurement, and some generalized testing such as that. So we try to administer the physical agility usually the same day as the interviews, just for the convenience to our applicants. So those people that pass this phase of the process advance to a background investigation. And here, this is a real in-depth look at an applicant's background. And I should mention at this point that qualifications for the police officer position do include no felony or domestic abuse convictions. Our applicants have to be 20 years old, a U.S. citizen, as I said, no felony or domestic abuse convictions, as well as having a valid Wisconsin driver's license and educational requirements. And our educational requirements are simply an associate's degree in a police science or criminal justice program, a bachelor's degree in any field, or 60 college credits specific to criminal justice or police science. And if an applicant is within 1.5 semesters of attaining those qualifications, they're welcome to fill out the online application and start the process. From beginning to end, the process can take several months. So generally speaking, by the time you finish your education, the hiring process can actually take that long. So then after the background investigation, if a person passes the background investigation, they're given a conditional offer of employment. And this conditional offer really is contingent on 2 conditions being met, and that would be satisfactorily passing a medical and a psychological examination. And if both of those exams are successfully passed, then the person joins the organization as a new police officer. And if they're not yet certified from a recruit academy, we'll send a candidate at our expense to be certified. If they happen to already be certified, even better, we can enter them directly into our field training program. So you can see from beginning to end, it's a lengthy process, it's a rigorous process, but it's very important that we put this much time and effort into the process so that we ensure that we are selecting the most highly qualified people for the job. So that's the hiring process for the patrol officer position. It's really a continuous recruitment. As I said, anywhere between 2 and 4 times a year we'll repeat the same process so that we're always having candidates on our eligibility list and so that we have people ready to fill vacancies when they arise. The police department does have other hiring opportunities as well. I'll mention the community service officer position, which is a great starting point for a student who is currently in a police science or criminal justice program. The community service officer or CSO position is responsible for doing some of the more entry-level type duties that a police officer would do. Things like parking enforcement, bicycle enforcement, animal-related ordinances, traffic direction, and things like that. Helping with special events, traffic control, traffic barricades, and those types of things. So to be eligible for a CSO position, we require somebody to be at least 18 years old and enrolled in a police science or criminal justice program, and having a valid driver's license as well. So if you or someone you know is going to school to be a police officer, this would be right up their alley. And to begin the application process, it's the same as you would for the patrol officer position. Simply go to the Oshkosh PD website, click on bureaus, employment opportunities, and public safety. And this time you would see the job posting for CSO. And click on that, follow the prompts, and fill in the online application. This would then prompt you to be contacted when interviews are scheduled for the position. And this hiring process is less rigorous than the patrol officer position. This involves simply an interview and a background investigation. Another position worth mentioning, I would say, is the crossing guard position as well. We're just finishing a school year. The summer months are upon us, and generally, sometime over the summer, we'll find that we need to add to our crossing guard numbers or perhaps replace some crossing guards that retire or choose not to come back for the following school year. Process, again, is the same. To be eligible for the crossing guard position, you simply need to be an adult with a high school diploma or equivalent with reliable transportation to get to your crossing guard corner. You need to be able to pass a background investigation. And then at that point, it's just a few hours in the morning and a few hours in the afternoon helping the children safely get across the street at the designated school crossings in the city. Process again is the same. Go to the Oshkosh PD website, follow all the same prompts I mentioned earlier, and this time you'll see the crossing guard position. If the position's not listed, you can fill out one of those job interest cards that I mentioned. There will be a tab on the left side of the screen. Simply click on the job interest card for that position and fill it out, and then you'll be notified as soon as we're ready to interview and fill those positions. So hopefully this gives people a different idea of the amount of effort we put into hiring the best people to work for us here at the Oshkosh Police Department. If you've ever considered a career related to law enforcement in any of these areas, or if maybe you have friends, neighbors, relatives, other family members that you think would be a good fit, please by all means do send them our way and direct them to our website to get the process started. So with that, we look forward to getting some of these vacancies filled. And as I said earlier, this bears repeating, our department is very committed to having a police force that reflects the community that we serve. And on that point, once again, females and minority candidates are definitely encouraged to apply. So with that, Joe, it's an overview of our hiring process and some of the employment opportunities we have here at the police department. And I'll send it back to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Captain. And we'll be right back after this short break to wrap up the show.
In Wisconsin, the laws are the same for bicyclists and motorists. So if you bike, ride with the traffic and obey stop signs and lights. Whether you ride a bike or drive a car, you must yield the right-of-way to pedestrians at marked and unmarked crosswalks. At intersections, always look for pedestrians before making a turn, and slow down in school zones and neighborhoods to keep our kids safe. Share and be aware. We're all responsible.
Welcome back to Beyond the Badge. We'd like to thank Captain Kelly Kent and Officer Mike Kirby for being on today's show. We also thank you for watching us on City Cable 10 and those of you listening to us on 101.9 WOCT. Remember, as Officer Mike Kirby stated, bicycle safety is very important, especially for our children. Please make time for them this summer and talk to them about all summer safety aspects. Until next time, have a great summer and stay safe.